Do we have any other questions? The gentleman here.
Thank you so much. Again, my name is Zamuhle Masondo. I am a writer. I worked for a publishing company, and I'm also a political activist. I don't know how to structure my question exactly, but I think maybe you'll find some pointers as to what I'm trying to ask. I was touched specifically by the point of writing as activism, as a political activist. And I want to find out how are we in comparison to the writers you mentioned, where we are with South African women authors in terms of still perpetuating that type of culture. Obviously, apartheid has ended, and those kind of barriers to writing also don't exist that these ladies faced. And I also want to, I think my other question now as someone who's worked in the publishing space is, what do you think the role of self-publishing has now in perpetuating more books, because where I worked, people would self-publish themselves. It wouldn't be where you are rejected by a publisher, but you just pay a fee. Sometimes it's good, but sometimes it wouldn't be good because we never rejected any writers. As long as you have the money to pay, you are published. They edit your book a bit sufficiently, but you are published. And I don't know how that effective it is than to work with publishers that have been existent for a long time that distribute more. So I think my question is more around writing as activism, the role of self-publishing, what our writers, where they compare in terms of other.
That's a fascinating question. I think in one way we are not writing as activism so much as during apartheid, and I think that's a good thing because there's been just scope opened up and creativity unleashed, no longer having to be activist. I think, I study a very specific category of writers, and there was almost a sense of like, how could you write about anything else when you were faced, like Miriam Tladi, with this grotesque nature of apartheid, and it's different now. I do think I'm interested in activist work by writers, what I would term activist work. Kagiso Lesego Molope, for example, this book Betrays My Brother, is one book that I've studied. That it's a children's book, not a children's book, a young adult book. I'm gonna say something. I don't like that category because many of those young adult books are brilliant and beautifully written and incredibly just beautiful works of art. And to put them in that category, yes, they are for young adults, but it's like you are saying with historical fiction. Some people just I don't want to read that. But it is about rape and about what do you do when a man you love rapes someone and they've raped someone, and your brother, that kind of dilemma. And I think there's a lot in that book. And Zukiswa Wonder, for example, like Men of the South, they're not activist-y books. They're very beautifully written, entertaining, gripping books, but they do write about the situation of gender. I'm interested in gender and gender relations. I think Kagiso Lesego Molope's book also, there's another category of literature I'd love to see more of is queer literature and love between people of the same sex and non-binary people and all sorts of different kinds of love that is not heterosexual. So, there are writers that are writing about those issues. If I think about even a beautiful writer like Kay Salodaker, who did write about queer life and queer experience, it's very hard to name him an activist writer, although I think the work does so much in destigmatizing yeah, the other question about self-publishing, I think that is a very good development. I think it's great that people are self-publishing. It is very hard still to get into print in this country, and I think of a writer like Diana Ferris, for example. I don't know if people are familiar with her, but she's just iconic, who wrote the Sarah Bartman poem, which was instrumental in bringing the remains of Sarah Bartman back to South Africa. She self-publishes all of her own work because when she started out, publishers wouldn't publish her, and now she's this iconic figure, and she's just decided, I'm not, I'm publishing my own work like I always have. And she, she used to go a few years ago to the post office when the post office was still a thing, and mail her books, and she just ran that herself. So I speak about circuits of value, and I think creating our own circuits of value as women, as black people, as queer people who sit on the outside or on the margins of these systems, I think it's very important. And so I'm all for creating alternate circuits of value.
Thanks, Barbara. Can we take one